Hi, families. Welcome back. So happy to continue to have the opportunity to come into your home, sometimes on your phone, sometimes on your computer, sometimes on your TV. Oh, giant Jason. You can see every hair that's not on my head. It's perfect. I just feel really lucky for this opportunity. We're going to be starting a new unit, a new topic today that I think is really going to be life changing for you, life changing for your deaf and hard of hearing child as you are learning more sign language, and also really focusing on one of the concepts that deaf and hard of hearing children tend to struggle with as they grow up. And finally, and kind of most importantly, our focus on supporting their development as a person, supporting their development as a deaf person, supporting their development as a human being with a need to access information about their life, about their world, really kind of meeting our responsibility in that way, and hopefully continuing the process of taking my power and giving it to you. So I'm excited. Can you tell? Maybe a little hyper even. Let's get started right away. The first thing I'm going to do um, is introduce the topic, I suppose, let you know what we're going to be talking about. The topic today, we're going to be changing. We kind of finished the who questions. We're moving that aside for now. We may come back later and develop it more sophisticated, complicated ideas. But right now, I think you have the basics, and hopefully, even watching and then watching again the videos that we've finished so far, you have kind of an understanding of how to introduce that question, how to develop it, how to model it with your child, and really kind of take that next step from just simple communication. That's awesome, but develop it more to rule-driven language, which is really our goal. So awesome. If you have more questions, please do not wait. Ask me, use the comments, or if you know me in real life, you can email me or contact me, and I'll be happy to answer or add information anytime I can. Okay, so the next concept that we're going to be starting today is when. Now, it may be obvious to you why this is such an important concept, but for a person to really feel safe and comfortable in the world, you need to have some idea of what to expect. Now, sometimes we accomplish this with deaf, hard of hearing, and hearing kids, to be honest with you, by kind of maintaining a schedule so the kids know generally what to expect on a specific day, a specific time. But what we sometimes find is that those children, as they grow up, they experience a lot of frustration because there are surprises. And life doesn't follow a consistent schedule. So if school is canceled, or someone is sick and they don't show up, or the movie that you were planning on going to you can't because the car broke down, these are all everyday kinds of things, problems that pop up during life. So we want ways to have conversations with our deaf and hard of hearing children that really emphasize when things are happening and when they will happen, or making it clear that what we're discussing is something that already happened in the past. Really just so important. And so let's get started. Same as before when we talked about WH questions like who or what. We need to remember our eyebrows. So generally when you're asking a when question, your eyebrows are going to go down. Kind of the same as we've talked about before, with some of the exceptions that we've also discussed before. So if you have a lot of concern in your heart, you may look at the child and say, when did it happen? Are you okay? When? The eyebrows can change depending on that element or that factor. So there you have it. But generally, under normal circumstances, when you ask or initiate a when question, you're going to have your eyebrows down. Same as we've talked about before. So let's start with the very basic, the sign for when. So I have my index finger out like this. Other index finger is also out. And it's going to start Um, this hand, my palm's out. This is my right hand. My left hand, interestingly, is kind of palm towards me, and the back of my hand is out. So I'm starting like this, just kind of in front. It doesn't really start in a very specific place. Don't start up here or down here, but just kind of your torso area. So I'm going to sign when. Now, if I were left-handed, this would be reversed. I'm not even sure I can do that, but it'd be like this, okay? So with my right hand, starting close to this finger, it doesn't have to touch, but kind of close. I'm going to make a circle and come all the way around, touch again. When. So from the side, you'll see I kind of go out. Let's see if I can, what's the best way to show this? It goes clockwise, it goes out and around, and comes back and touches. When. Hopefully that's clear. When. There's another sign for when that is used in ASL very commonly, and it's really kind of a powerful, cool sign if you are discussing some specific things. So we'll talk about that more. But the other sign is, it's the same sign for happen. Okay, so both index fingers again, starting with palms up, and then they're going to turn inward and end up palm down, like this. Okay, one more time. Start with palms up, index fingers out, and you flip them over. Okay, this concept means when as it relates to the idea or the concept of happen. Okay, so if I'm talking about when I was 8 years old, I could sign happen when I was 8. That lets people know I'm using this as when it happened that I was 8 years old, okay, or when it happened that I learned or I passed my driving test, or happen. So this is when you're talking about an event, a specific event that's going to happen. You can use this for when I did this, when that happened, or you can use this sign when. Generally, my advice would be to start with when, and then as your language skills become more developed, you can make the change as you start to understand the concept better. Maybe you've seen the sign being used by me or a deaf person in your life. Maybe your child is using it. You can start to make that change. So when or when, okay? Looking at my crib notes, we also have some basic signs about time. And there are so many words that are related to when and time and days and weeks and months and everything. But we're going to start really simple today, and we'll keep adding and adding and adding like we did with other concepts like who in the past. So just kind of focus on these few simple signs today. We'll get started. Once you feel comfortable, you can practice some of the easy ones, and then we'll add and add and add as we go along. Okay? So the first sign I want to teach you is today. Today. These are like the letter Y from the alphabet on both hands, only your palms are up. You start kind of at shoulder level and you drop it. Today. It goes 2 times. Today. Okay? Today. This happens to be the same sign, or very similar sign to now. So my understanding is that now is 1 time. And today is 2 times. So I'm going to check on that, because again, I want to make sure that I'm teaching you right, and I'm a hearing person who's not a fluent ASL user, but we're going to go with now, or today. Okay? Sometimes you will see in books or on videos or with contact with other people who sign, maybe even deaf people, you might see signs that kind of follow the English more closely, like today or now day. And now day is fine. You could sign now and day. I'll show you that sign now. You already know that part. And then day, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this fist, this is my left arm, and lay it flat with my palm down. This is like think of it as like the horizon, where the sky touches the earth. This is the horizon. And then I'm going to sign, this touches my elbow, this is my right hand, and my index finger is out, and the palm kind of is facing that way. So I go all the way across. This kind of represents the sun moving across the sky with that motion, with the horizon here and the sun going across. This is day. So for today, you might see today, or you might see today. And both are really acceptable signs. So for most, what's the word I'm looking for? Can you help me out? For most situations, I think I'm going to use today. Today, that's just my habit. Generally, I use that sign. So we'll do today. Yesterday, again, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can do it with this is like the 10 hand shape, with your palm out, thumb here, touches kind of on your cheek, and then goes backwards. Yesterday. Starts forward, kind of like here in this area of your cheek, and moves back towards your ear. Yesterday. And it's got kind of a bounce to it, like a touch, 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 touch. So you can see from the side here, yesterday. Okay? Now, many people, including myself, have added a letter. Part of that is our hearing brains, trying to follow our English that we have internalized so well. So that's another choice for you if you want, is to sign with a Y. Same sign, same motion. Starts on the cheek and bounces back to your ear. So what you are showing with everything that happens in the past in sign language, it's going to start kind of at this plane, it's going to move backwards. It's like in the past, things that are behind us. And everything that's later or in the future is going to start right here and move forward. Whoa, my hand gets really big when I go towards the camera, like shocked myself. So yesterday or yesterday. Then the next sign you might be able to guess is tomorrow. Thumb starts in the same place on your cheek, and you kind of twist my hand down as I go forward a little bit. It's not a real severe twist, but tomorrow. Okay. And I've never seen that sign with an added T. Just it's like the A with the slightly extended thumb. Tomorrow. Looking at this on video, I notice as I relax and I do it more like my habit, there's like a little twist here. So if you really want to get it right, you're going to turn your fist so you're almost like you're going to give a thumbs up when it's done. Okay? Thumb here. Tomorrow. See how it kind of ends up? Okay? Tomorrow. Yesterday or yesterday. Today or today. Good. Okay, so I already showed the sign for apparently I'm going through puberty. My voice. What's going on with my voice? We have this, again, where it touches the elbow and the index finger goes across. Day. As I'm signing this, I'm realizing my hand isn't exactly turned facing this way. And it's not exactly turned back towards me. It's kind of in between. Okay, so we do day. Notice that you can also do it with the flat hand. Day or day. I've seen it both ways. Day or day. For nighttime, you have this hand. I'm sorry, I really do have a frog in my throat. You have this hand, and you're going to bend the fingers down like this. So your thumb's out, everything else is the same. Your fingers are together and you bend it forward just a little bit. Your wrist right here is going to hit on the back of the other hand. So this hand is either like this, fingers together, or you can do the fist again. I think we're going to stick with the hand open for this sign. Fingers together, thumb out, palm down, making a flat surface. Again, the idea is the horizon. And what you're showing with your bent hand coming down on the back of the other hand, that is like the sun going down behind the horizon. So night, night. And you'll see as you get more experience, there are ways of showing the transition between day, and afternoon, and night, and you can move back and forth very smoothly. It's cool. You'll feel really powerful when all that kind of starts to click. But right now, day, night, night. Most nouns are 2 times, so we're going to stick with that for now, night. And the other sign, using this again, you're going to do morning, morning. So my left hand, that's not my dominant hand. My left hand is going to touch right here at the crux of my elbow. And then my other hand, fingers together, thumb out, palm up, is going to start, kind of see, it's kind of low. It's going to come up. It's going to come up. And as you may have guessed, this is representing the sun rising in the morning. Morning. So we have day, the sun traveling across the sky. Day, night, morning. Okay. There's one more sign I didn't have on my list, but makes sense to add right now, is afternoon. So whereas we did night like this, where it's about to fall below the horizon, afternoon the sun's a little higher. So, I'm not going to show. I'm not all the way down at my elbow. I'm not all the way at my wrist. I'm kind of in between. And I tap my arm afternoon. Okay? Same bent hand shape as we used for night. Okay. There's also a sign for noon, which is the sun straight up in the sky. Okay? Same as day, but we're using that flat hand, not bent. It's nice and straight. Noon. Okay. Let's see what's next. Later. Okay. So really, this is an everyday sign. One of the signs you will use most as a parent is later. This hand, my left hand, maybe you're right, depending on your handedness, I'm going to have it with the thumb pointing towards me, pinky finger out. Take an L from the alphabet. I'm going to stick the thumb part right in the palm of my hand, okay? And you pull it back. There's like just a little bit of, a little bit of a wind up, and then you twist it forward. Later, 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 okay? You'll often see deaf and hard of hearing kids and adults sign later, later. It's kind of evolved, the sign is kind of evolved. It's evolved so that it doesn't need both hands anymore. So you can sign later, 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 later. This is kind of the more formal, more appropriate sign. Later, later. Okay? And just a reminder, as I've examined my own parenting over the years, I have understood my own temptation when my child needs something or is asking me for something to just say later, later, whatever, later. And I'm kind of afraid to be specific, because to tell specific times means I'm promising and then I have to follow what I said, and it's a responsibility. But I have found that I've been more successful in helping my child feel secure and feel like they understand what's happening next if I'm very specific. If I don't only say later, but I might say wait 1 hour, or wait 2 o'clock, or in all those, hour, what time, we're going to work on all of those signs. But right now we're going to say later. Later. It's a good place to start. Okay? Later. Another sign, recently. Recently. Index finger, our old friend, the index finger, and it's going to turn with the back of my hand out. It's going to come right against my cheek, and I'm going to bend that finger. like this. 2 times. Recently. Recently. It means, it just all depends on what you're talking about. But any time that's not a long time ago can be recently. So recently. Did you see the movie? The new one? The new movie that was released? Star Wars? Recently came out. I'm really talking about the future now. I can see it for the first time next week, the new Star Wars movie. But recently. I'm trying to give examples. I'm doing a lousy job, I'm sorry. Recently. Your sister got home recently. Okay? Soon. There's a couple of different signs I've seen for soon. The one I use is soon. It's like an F, and this little place right where they connect touches on your nose 2 times. So you say soon. Soon. You want to go play? Soon. Soon will. Soon. Means it's really close. It's so close it's touching your nose. It's almost here. It's almost time. Soon. And I've also seen like sign short. Short for soon. My preference is the sign soon. Okay, so again, it's the F, this part where they touch, turns back the back of your hand out, taps your nose 2 times. Soon, will. And that happens to be the next word on the list is will. We talked about things that happened before, kind of starting here and moving backward. And we talked about things that are happening later, starting here and moving forward. I am having allergies or something. I apologize. I work with kids. My health sometimes not wonderful. Will or future. It means anything that is later, anything that's going to happen not now and it didn't already happen later, it will happen in the future. Okay. And then we have the past. The past. Same hand shape as we used for will. Will just comes at you again like the karate chop. Will. But this one for past, back of my hand is towards you, and it kind of, it's like I throw it over my shoulder with my fingers staying like this. Okay? Past. That means it happened before, or in the past. And there's some modifications on that sign for the past. It could be a long time ago with the 5 hand going back, or even more. It can be like really long time ago, like in the 1970s, like that long ago, like really, ancient history. So those are some different modifications you can do. Cool thing about ASL is I've struggled to learn Spanish and have done a terrible job. I'm so thankful for people like Rocio, who's been helping me with the Spanish translation for the videos. Is the verbs. Even if they're simple and they have rules that are clear, changing the verbs always, to match both the subject, who's talking, and whether it's happening now or it's continuing to happen now, or it happened already, or maybe it will happen later. The verbs are confusing. In English, it's even worse because sometimes our verbs follow the rules and sometimes they don't. And there are probably more verbs that don't follow the rules than really follow the rules. Verbs are awful in most languages. The good news, if you are learning ASL for the first time, is that verbs are going to be easy. We don't change all the verbs depending on the subject. We don't change all the verbs depending on the when. The verbs are just the verbs, and there's some ways we can modify them or modulate the verbs, but it's not the headache that learning verbs in spoken languages is. When you're talking about something in ASL, you put a time, they call it a time marker. You use a sign to show when, right at the beginning, before you start explaining what happened. So if I'm talking about my family will go to see Star Wars next week, I would give the time first. I'd sign next week, Thursday, Now that's set. I don't have to mess with anything else. My family go movie. Pretty cool. So you don't have to learn go and then goad, goes, go with ding. I mean, I'm making up silly things, but you get the idea. In other languages, we change the spelling, we change the endings. None of that. ASL is really nice. It's making pictures, pictures, pictures. So you're setting up the time that something happened before you start building the picture. So if you're talking about school tomorrow, you would start chatting, having your conversation with your child by saying tomorrow, and then you can explain everything you want. Okay? So I think that's all clear, and I think, again, a long video. I don't know how you guys are tolerating all this. 30 minutes is a long time. But, I'm trying to get as much information to you as fast as I can without overwhelming you. Am I doing it right? Am I doing a good job? Feedback, you can leave comments, let me know. The words that we reviewed again today, real quickly, are when or when. Happened, so it's kind of the same, happened or when. Today or today. Yesterday or yesterday. Tomorrow, tomorrow. Day, night, morning, noon, later, later, recently, recently, soon, will or future, future will, before, before or past, long ago, or even longer, like way back, okay? Should be enough for a week. So keep up the practice, keep up the good work. You are really getting deep into it now, and you're starting to learn how you are going to be able to help your child know everything about the world that they need to know. And you're awesome. Thanks so much. I will see you next time. I will be recording, hopefully, a Christmas video very soon. And maybe with a little luck, we'll have it released before the holiday this year, 2015. If you're seeing this video and it's 2016 or later, maybe the year 3000, then the video is finished and it's waiting for you. So, bye everyone.